Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back. It is the Leeds United Career Mode. It's episode number 10 and returning today on the back of starting season 3. I have to say, really happy with the business done in the summer transfer window. There were sales I wasn't expecting. Christensen to Arsenal, Perot to Atalanta, for example. I didn't expect them to go through. I didn't expect any bids to go for those players, but I like how the team is looking right now. And I actually wanted to discuss this to start today's episode off as well, because obviously, in this career mode, we are trying to do things quite realistically if we can, but I wanted to talk about it in today's episode because I understand that, like, sometimes you might see a signing of mine that I've made and you think, I don't think that's very realistic, Doxy boy, to be honest with you there. Or you might see a sale I've made and thought, yeah, not very realistic, but I do want to say, like, I'm only human. Like, you know, sometimes I am going to get it wrong. Sometimes I will make a mistake. Sometimes I will make a decision and you'll think, yeah, not too sure about the realism there. I can't always get it right, you know, I can't always get it right. I do try, I really do try. And I feel as though with the trends that have changed over the past few years, you know, I mentioned before, I've been doing YouTube videos for 12 years now, man, like 12 years. And FIFA Manager Career Mode videos for 10. My first ever FIFA Manager CM was in FIFA 13. This is 10 years down the line now. And over the past 2-3 years, I've noticed the trends have changed. And I noticed that more and more people on my channel want more realism in my career mode. So I'm always happy to try and change things if need be. And I have tried, you know, really hard to keep saves realistic, including this one. But I did want to start the episode off by saying, like, I understand sometimes I do make a signing and you might think, I'm not too sure about that one. But to be honest still, I can only do my best. And you also need to understand the game mode itself is basically impossible to keep realistic longer than a year or two. And I mean that quite seriously. Now, if you've been playing FIFA CM for as long as I have, then you will know, back in the day, like 8-9 years ago, the transfer market was so absurd. You would see Robert Lewandowski move from Bayern Munich to Real Madrid to Chelsea to Manchester United in the space of 2 seasons. It really was that ridiculous. You've been playing this game mode for as long as I have. You'll remember that. It used to happen all the time. How many times would you see someone like Bayern Munich end up with 10 strikers and only 1 left back? And that's not even an exaggeration. You'll remember this. They'd have the lot. They'd have your Kanes, they'd have your Lewandowski, they'd have the lot. Honestly, they'd have the lot as a striker, but like no left backs on it. It was ridiculous. So it has improved a little bit since then, the transfer market, but we do all know this. Like, for those of you that play the games as much as I do, you will know this, I know this. The transfer market is broken. It is still ridiculous. It is still absolutely absurd. Players will get relegated as part of teams, and despite being absolutely class, will sometimes sit in the second tier. I mean, Michael Elise, for example, was still in the second tier after a year. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. They might stay for a year, but sometimes they'll just walk the championship and stay there forever. And it's just ridiculous, you know? So the transfer market is a bit broken, and I really do feel like when people say to me, like, oh, Doxy boy, what would you do to improve career mode? You're always slagging EA off. To be fair, I'm quite fair with EA. Sometimes I'll give them praise when they deserve it, and I'll criticise them when they deserve it as well, which unfortunately is more often than not. But sometimes I get asked, Doxy boy, okay, fair enough, what would you do? How would you improve career mode? And there are so many features that would make this game better. An online career mode, we all know it. How amazing would that be? It would really expand the player base. It will bring loads of new players to the game, and of course, with that being the case, EA will be forced to make other improvements alongside maintaining an online CM as well. I've talked about scenario modes and scenario challenges as well, and how amazing that would be. Not everyone likes playing long career modes, you know, it's as simple as that. Not everyone likes playing a season, you know. I get comments all the time from people saying, Docs, how do you last so long playing career mode? How do you do so many seasons in a save? I get bored like 3 months in. Listen, I totally get it, bro. I really do. Sometimes I can get a little bit, you know, my last career mode with Manager, for example, I was getting a bit tired of it, you know, a third of the way through season 2. I can sometimes get tired of playing through the seasons as well and feel like ending a save early when I actually plan to do multiple seasons across multiple teams, across multiple countries. But you know, it's not easy to maintain the enjoyment levels for seasons upon seasons, but if there was scenario-based challenges where you could go into a team mid-season and based on what challenge you do, you could take over with that team and then start from that starting point. You could do like a mid-table, bottom at Christmas challenge, bottom at Christmas with one win all season long challenge. You got to keep them up, and then come the end of the season, you can build on that from there if you want to stay with it, or you can do another challenge, 10 games to go in the league. You're 10 points behind the league leaders. Can you pull off the improbable and win the title? 3 games to go, you're 5 points off top 4. You know, you're going for a quadruple, and it's March, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, scenario-based challenges where you start, not at the very start of the save, but midway through a season or towards the back end of the season. Injury plague challenge, you know, like 6 of your regular first 11 are out for the season. Things like that, you know, that's what I would say to EA, you know, like things like that. And they wouldn't even need to be, you know, ridiculously amazing improvements. An online career mode, yes, I understand you'd have to build the database for that, and I guess there'd be a lot of complexities on how it could work, but I do understand, I don't play it myself, but Madden NFL, I'm pretty sure there's an online franchise mode or online career mode, so EA do have the capabilities to do it. It's just they don't, and this is the frustrating thing, because we talk about realism, and that would be the biggest change for me. That would be the biggest change. I'd love an online career mode. I'd love scenario-specific challenges. If you're asking me what 2 new features I'll bring to the game, those are the 2 new features. By the way, Wan-Bissaka, what a crunching tackle this was in stoppage time as we held on for a 2-1 victory away at the Etihad here after a nice little streak to a great start to the season on the back of that loss to Leicester. But yeah, those are the 2 new features I would add in. If I was in charge and I was in charge of career mode development at EA Sports, for example, those are the 2 features there. I would say, you know, come October, the new games just be released. I'd say to my team, right lads, we've got 11 months till release day. Here's what we're doing: online career mode and challenge scenarios for career mode as well. But some people might say, oh, that's going to take a while. That's going to take a lot of effort. I'd say, okay then, boys, we can't do that. How about we just make it so the transfer market isn't absolutely ridiculous and we can keep it at least somewhat semi-realistic so we're not seeing ridiculous transfers just a year or 2 into the game. For me, EA just don't seem to really care about that. You see players move all over the shop after 6-12 months. You see players go through blockbuster transfers and they're only there for a year. Okay, I suppose that in today's modern world, that's not beyond the realms of possibility, but it is still unlikely. It is still unlikely that, you know, the biggest world stars will move on after 12 to 18 months like it sometimes happens in career mode. Okay, I hear ya. Cristiano Ronaldo's just moved on from the Red Devils to Al Nassr after only just 1 year. Lionel Messi spent 2 years at PSG and is now moving to Inter Miami. I hear ya, but these are different cases. These are players that are 2 of the greatest of all time, but also in their retirement years, if you will. But for the mega superstars, Mbappe's been at PSG since he left from Monaco. Erling Haaland, to be fair, a little bit different, but for his career trajectory, that does totally make sense to me. But even so, I do feel as though sometimes you'll see, I don't know, like Jude Bellingham's a good example, who's moving on to Real Madrid. And by the way, for Jude Bellingham, can I break away from this chat for a moment and say, Real Madrid, all the question marks. How would they replace their dynasty of a team? By the way, how ludicrous is this with me and Matt O'Reilly there, trying to dive in the slide, tackle the ball in. I got a straight red card. What was I doing? But yeah, Jude Bellingham, all the question marks on Real Madrid. How would they move on from the dynasty with the Ronaldos and the Kroos and the Modric and the Benzema? Well, we're seeing it. We're seeing it in real time. Kroos, Modric, Casemiro, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde, who I'm an absolutely massive fan of, and I've said this before, this guy is to me one of the most underrated superstars in world football. He is an absolute baller. But they've now got Jude Bellingham as well. So if Camavinga does end up moving to left back permanently as the successor for Marcelo, obviously spent quite a lot of time playing left back for Real Madrid this year alongside DM and CM as well. But let's say hypothetically Camavinga goes to left back, then they've got the replacement for Marcelo, and then they've got the trio of Tchouaméni, Bellingham and Valverde for Casemiro, Kroos and Modric as well. So Honestly, man, the Galacticos is incredible. The question marks, how would they replace that trio? They've already done it. They've done it in 1 year. It's ludicrous. But for Bellingham, man, as well, gotta say, I'm buzzing for the guy. I really am. He's one of the brightest prospects in European football. The fact he's English, obviously, you know, nice for myself being English, so the future of the national team is in really good hands right now with some fantastic young talent coming through and developing and about to hit their peak as well. But for Bellingham too, he's such a humble lad. I mean, he really, really is. He seems like he's such a great character. One of my favourite goals that I saved that, by the way, Brendan Arrington wrapping up a really nice team move. But yeah, he seems like such a great character. He seems like such a nice guy. And I was seeing some of the pictures where he was announced at Real Madrid, and it was the same with Borussia Dortmund as it was with England as well. For the media shoots, when he became an England starter, called up for the squad and for the World Cup in Qatar in 2022 as well, when he moved to Dortmund from Birmingham and now moving to Real Madrid as well. Well, you might notice mum and dad and brother Joby are there as well. I really love that. I really do. He knows how important it is. Bro Joby, who's such a great young talent at Birmingham City as well. And of course his mum and dad have been for him as well. I love that. He seems like such a humble kid, you know, and that's going to hold him in really, really good stead moving on to become the latest Galactico. But yeah, pleased for the guy. But anyway, Bellingham's a good example. Like, sometimes you'll see Bellingham go from, like, you know, again, in this save or in another save of mine, you might have seen him go to Dortmund and then to Chelsea and then to Bayern and then to Real Madrid in like 3 years. And it's like, calm down, mate. Seriously, just pick a team and stay there for a while. So yeah, the transfer market, I think, to me, that's the one thing I would say to EA. Look, if you can't implement an online career mode for whatever reason, don't. If you can't add in those challenge scenario-specific career mode saves to do, don't. But at least give us a more realistic transfer market, because I guarantee more people would want to play the game and also continue playing the game if they could play a game and play a season where they can mirror what happens in real life. But when you're seeing teams go into absolutely bizarre form, where someone like Man City might lose 5 on the bounce, for example, how many times have you seen in my saves this year? We've been in a title race with one of the certified big boys. I remember Barcelona was that team in my Malaga career mode. And in the first half of the season, they were like dominant. They'd won practically every single game. And then in the second half, they fell off so badly, they barely qualified for the Champions League. I think it was the Malaga career mode. But yeah, it happens. It happens practically every single season. And I'm not saying that some teams don't have free falls and collapses in confidence and really, really struggle. It happens. But the biggest of teams, every single year, going on absolute free falls, and then certain teams the other way. You know, certain teams just going on absolutely crazy runs. And that's another thing that kind of breaks away from the realism as well. Form is so OP in career mode. So if we can't do an online career mode, if we can't add in challenge-based scenario career modes, then EA, realistic transfer market, and also sort the form out, yeah? Like, sort the form out, because at times it's absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes you can go on this, like, absolutely amazing winning run, and you feel completely unstoppable. Like, you go into every single game thinking, I'm going to thrash these guys, regardless of who they are, whether you're home or away, whether you've got tired legs or not, you think, I'm going to thrash these guys. Why? Because you've got momentum, and form is a real thing. Form is a real thing. Teams go into bad form, teams go into good form. It's a real thing, and thus it should be in the game. But the overpoweredness of it and the effectiveness is just way too much. Way too much. Sometimes your players literally feel superhuman. When you're on a run akin to the kind of run that we're on right now, 7 wins in our first 9. We drew against Wolves and we lost to Leicester. But every other game since then has been a win. And whilst I'm not complaining, it is a little bit like, yeah, this is just one of those times in the save where you are basically unstoppable. We've beaten Chelsea away, we've beaten Man City away this season, not beyond the realms of possibility, but like I said, again, what you consider to be a little bit unrealistic, if you will. And one of the reasons why is because both of those teams aren't in as good form as we are, whereas we are in absolutely unbelievable form right now to start this season off. So following game, Bournemouth, we took the lead early, Then Cherries found their leveller, and then we were back in front 5 minutes after the restart. Dan James makes it 2-1, restores our lead. With 18 minutes to go, looking to make it 3. Elise rolls through Sesko. 9 goals in 10 games. And I'll be honest, I got a little bit lucky for this goal. Don't really know what I was doing, but in the end, it still worked out for me. And it's 10 in 10 for Benjamin Sesko. So, Leeds continue the fantastic start to the season. Just the 1 defeat so far, coming home to Leicester. Just the 1 draw so far, coming away at Molineux. And another big win here keeps us in a very unlikely top 4 place. The question is, can we hold onto it? I gotta say, we were talking about realism a lot in today's episode, right? And I said that, earlier I was talking about how with Leicester City, for example, you could say it wasn't realistic that they won the Premier League back in 2016. If there's one team I can kind of compare us to right now, it's Leicester City. This is our 2nd year in the Premier League. And if you remember with Leicester City, it was their 2nd year back in the Premier League when they won the title. A lot of people forget that. It was their 2nd year back in the Premier League when they won the title. And listen, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself right now. But these are the comparisons I'm drawing right now. Us and Leicester City. Their 2nd year in the top tier, they pulled off, in my opinion, the greatest football fairy tale story of all time by winning the Premier League. They did that with really good investment, players who became stars, and a really close-knit core. You look at our team right now, it's feeling very similar, isn't it? We've got the rapid striker up top who's latching onto a load of through balls. Benjamin, Jamie Vardy, Sesko. We got the lads in the back line who are just absolutely so strong and captain material in the likes of Charlie Creswell, Wes Morgan, for example. You obviously got star quality through the middle of the park as well. Great DMs like Chet Doucouré and Calvin Phillips and N'Golo Kante. We got fantastic inside forwards on the wing right now as well. Michael Elise or Riyad Mahrez. I mean, listen, I'm just saying. This is yeah, and also a goalkeeper with Manchester United connections, if you will. Kasper Schmeichel, son of legend Peter Schmeichel. We've got Dean Henderson. It just feels like it. And speaking of Manchester United, following game, I was thinking, right, we just beaten Fulham 2-0. Went absolutely ballistic when Matt O'Reilly scored the dagger later on. I was thinking, this is a real test. If we can go to Old Trafford and win, like we went to the Bridge and the Etihad and won, I think maybe we could pull off a Leicester. Well, we were 2-0 up. Benjamin Sesko scored a bicycle kick. And whilst Victor Osimhen headed in a late one, Leeds held on for the 2-1 victory. So, the winning run extended. 10 wins in 12. Just the 1 defeat so far. And I was like, we ain't going to stop. Form is so OP. We ain't going to stop. No one can stop us. We've gone to the Etihad. We've gone to Old Trafford. We've gone to the Bridge. We've won them all. Following game, David Moyes' West Ham coming to Ellen Road. I was thinking, based on the run we've been on, this should be a bit of a walkover. Randall Kolo Muani fires the irons in front and then gets the assist for Golovin, who gets the second. 19 minutes in and we're 2-0 down. And now we're brought back down to earth. Here we go. And I was waiting for this, man. I was waiting for this all through the episode. I've been talking about form, how OP it is, and at some point it comes down. At some point you stop. At some point you slow down. Here we go. David Moyes. I love him, but I wasn't loving him right now. Little tussle on the sidelines right before the break. We were down by 2. Hit the crossbar, still down. Benjamin Sesko. I need to call him Benjamin Bicycle Kick Sesko. I swear, every single time I float the ball into the middle, it goes for a bicycle kick. But Kolo Muani and, sorry, not Golovin, but Roda, Sebastian Roda get the goals. And it's just our second loss of the season. It comes at home to West Ham after we lost to Leicester as well. And now Liverpool go top by a point. 13 games into the season. And now I was thinking, this is the psychological battle we were waiting for. You know how often I talk about psychological battles and mentality and how important it is? We've won at the Bridge, we won at the Etihad, we've won at Old Trafford. We head to Anfield on Wednesday night, and I do this. Yeah. So at this point, right, I'm absolutely gleaming right now. Yes, we just had the loss to West Ham. I'm buzzing. This is the game I was looking forward to the most. I love these games, those high pressure games. Wednesday night, Liverpool away at Anfield, and I picked a rotated side because my first team let me down the weekend, and they were tired too. But I can't blame anyone but me for this here. Yeah. You know, I often say I never sweep anything under the rug. What was that? What was that? Oh, I was fuming, absolutely fuming. Dino tries to kick it long for a quick counter, and Mo just stands there and says, "Kick it, I dare ya." He hits it right at the Egyptian's forehead. He nods it home. Liverpool 1, Leeds 0, and I literally put the control down in my hands at this point. I was like, oh my god, are you serious? Head in hands moment. I'm going to lose back-to-back for the first time this season, and this is where it collapses. This is where I fall apart. Seriously, what was that? But from kickoff, Blushy is spurred, equaliser, scored. Jorginho, Rutter. I kept hold of him despite the bids in the summer, and this is why. I really like him. I really like him as my backup striker. Rutter goes through 1-0 with Alisson, rounds the Brazilian, pops it in, open goal. 1-1, and we salvage ourselves a point. But now that our good form is gone, now that our momentum is over, we don't have that anymore. I talked about it all the time. Form is so OP. We no longer have that OP momentum run that makes your players feel superhuman. And after the following game was a boring goalless draw home to Spurs. Not worth showing you the highlights. Nothing really happened, to be honest here. A goalless draw home to Spurs. Following game, no wins in 3, just 2 points from a possible 9. Now, where we were, top of the table, we're almost dropping out of the top 4. So, following game, away from home, Aston Villa out of Villa Park, needed to go out to winning ways here. Right from kickoff, Dan James going through, hits the bar, and it's still 0-0. And it's safe to say, 33 minutes in, the good form is gone. Yep, Adam Hozek, the Czech Republic forward, fires Villa in front, and we're down half an hour into the game away in the Midlands. Aston Villa 1, Leeds 0, and there we go. Like I said before, form so OP. Now we've lost it, now we're going to struggle. So we needed a bit of luck. We needed a bit of good fortune. We got it in controversial circumstances. I mentioned before how this year the cards in FIFA CM are really, really weird. Sometimes referees are far too lenient or far too strict. How is that a straight red? For our former centre-half, Maximilian Voba, who we sold to Aston Villa last year. How was that a red card? I do not know. But you know what? Sometimes you need a little bit of luck. We got it, we take it. And then 9 minutes after the restart with a man advantage, Benjamin Sesko gets yet another goal as he leads the way in the race for the Golden Boot. Leeds back on level terms. Sadly, despite the man advantage for the second half, could only find a leveller, couldn't find a winner. No wins in our last 4. And for the final game today, Arsenal, match day 17 at Ellen Road. So far this season, our only 2 losses have come here. I was fearing the worst with no wins in 4. I needed a big psychological boost, a big win, a big victory, and we had the perfect start as well. Matt O'Reilly's 5th of the year makes it 1-0. Leeds are in front, and this season, the board said to me, win the FA Cup, qualify for the Europa League. Yeah, I definitely think we could do that. We're a great team now. We're a 4.5-star team. We've recruited really, really well. I love how the team is looking. There's some great star quality here as well. But after this fantastic run, I want to stay in the top 4. I want to stay in the top 4. It feels kind of like Newcastle United, you know. Starting the season off, third the way through, just like where we are right now. They were in the top 4, and they wanted to stay there. Well, right now, as we lead by 2 against Arsenal, Rutter with his 2nd in 3, and Lewis Cook, who gets our 3rd in stoppage time. 2 games to go for the halfway stage. We will stay in the top 4. No wins in 4, just 3 points from a possible 12. In a little bit of a struggling patch, Leeds are back. 3-0 final score, 17 games in. 2 points behind Liverpool, but crucially now, we stay in the top 4 too, clear of Chelsea. Long way to go though. Still over half the season remaining. and we'll need to get back to good form if we are to stay in the top 4. That'll do it today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry if I sound like I was moaning a little bit, but hope you enjoyed the episode regardless. If you did, then please do drop a like. So you'll have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Leeds United Career Mode very soon.